Well, good morning. Trust you well this morning. Just a couple of things. The cup-wise, be a good idea if you keep the same cup, and then we can have a good way of recycling and take it home with you and bring it back next time as well. No, that's a joke, by the way. But if you keep hold of the cup and use the cup, again, it helps us kind of with recycling. So at the end, when we just put it in the bin, we can recycle those. Just say there is vegetable kind of vegan sausages this morning as well. There's cereal. There's jam on toast for those that don't eat bacon or sausage. We do have a full breakfast: bacon, sausage, egg, beans, and various things, coffee and tea and stuff, and juice as well. We've got Andy Flute with us this morning as well, all the way from the sunny side of the south as well. So he's going to be sharing with us. Just say we've got one or two things coming up as well. On the 27th of August, Bruce Dyer, who was the first over £1 million teenager to move on as an England striker as well, played for Barnsley and for England and Crystal Palace. He will be with us talking about his journey of depression, various addictions that he had on the journey as well, of being a footballer, and things that almost took him out of football. The 27th of August, we're having Bruce Dyer will be with us again. And we do this just to encourage each other, inspire each other, bring each other on the journey. We're all at different stages on our journey of life. We've looked at different things and situations and circumstances we may be dealing with. Some of us may have conquered something. Some of us may be trying to conquer something. But how many of you know that we're better together than we are apart on that journey as well? And so that's what we believe in, that Jesus has got the answer in different ways for us. He's part of the answer of our life and can help us on that journey. And he's certainly helped me, and he's helped Andy and several others on this journey as well. And so it's great to be together this morning. So we're going to...
We were made to reflect your glory. I hate the bridge is going to be really bad. And to star within your story. And to star within your story. We are called to share your love. We are called to share your love. And let everyone know that who they are is good enough. And let everyone know that who they are is good enough. In your glory, we can conquer our fear. In your glory, we can conquer our fear. In your glory, we will know you near. In your glory, we will know you near. And where your love rules, all our wounds can be healed. And where your love rules, all our wounds can be healed. In your glory, your kingdom is revealed. In your glory, your kingdom is revealed. We were made to reflect your glory and to star within your story. We are called to share your love and let everyone know that who they are is good enough. In your glory, we can conquer our fear. In your glory, we will know you near. And where your love rules, all wounds can be healed. In your glory, your kingdom is revealed. Yeah! You created us perfect in your sight. And those who disagree are saying you aren't right. Creation's great diversity can only ever prove that each and every one of us is worthy of your love. In your glory, we can conquer our fear. In your glory, we will know you near. And where your love rules, all wounds can be healed. In your glory, your kingdom is revealed. Yeah. Right, this is the heart. So table number one, or group number one. Very simple. Jesus, we lift our hands, we lift them high to you. Receive our praise, and Holy Spirit, fill us through and through. Jesus, we lift our hands, we lift them high to you. Receive our praise, and Holy Spirit, fill us through and through. So you just keep going on that. We lift our hands, we lift them high to you. Receive our praise, and Holy Spirit, fill us through and through. Okay, to you guys. Jesus, we lift our hands, we lift them high to you. Receive our praise, and Holy Spirit, fill us through and through. Jesus, we lift our hands, we lift them high to you. Receive our praise, and Holy Spirit, fill us through and through. I'll tell you what, let's all just do the third one. This is the easy one, this is the Queen one. We will worship Jesus, we will worship you. 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 'Cause in your glory we can conquer our fear. In your glory we will know you near. And when your love rules, all wounds can be healed. In your glory your kingdom is revealed. Yes, in your glory your kingdom is here. In your glory your kingdom is revealed. In your glory your kingdom is here. And this is our last one. Wonderful, so wonderful is your unfailing love. Your cross has spoken mercy over me. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no heart could fully know how glorious, how beautiful you are. Beautiful one I love, beautiful one I adore, beautiful one my soul must say. Powerful, so powerful, your glory fills the skies. Your mighty works displayed for all to see. The beauty of your majesty awakes my heart to sing. How marvelous, how wonderful you are. Beautiful one I love, beautiful one I adore, beautiful one my soul must say. Beautiful one I love, beautiful one I adore, beautiful one my soul must say. You opened my eyes to your wonders of love. You captured my heart with this love, because nothing on earth is as beautiful as you. You opened my eyes to your wonders of love. You captured my heart with this love, because nothing on earth is as beautiful beautiful as you. Beautiful one I love, beautiful one I adore, beautiful one my soul must sing. Beautiful one I love, beautiful one I adore, beautiful one my soul must sing. My soul must sing. My soul must sing. My soul must sing. Beautiful one. My soul must sing. My soul must sing. My soul must sing. Beautiful one. Beautiful one I love. Beautiful one I adore. Beautiful one my soul must sing.
Without further ado, we've got Andy Flute with us all the way from Walsall this morning. Let's put our wonderful Yeed and warm hands together as Andy comes to share with us this morning. Amen. Nice one. Feel free, mate. All right.
Morning, fellas. Pleasure to be here today. Really is pleasure. I met Denver a few weeks ago, and we had a chat about coming up to share with you. And yeah, it gives me great pleasure for all men to get together because it's what we need as well. Like he said earlier on, a lot of women get together, so why not men get together? But yeah, my story today is a boxer's journey from hell to Christianity. And let me tell you, the Bible is full of stories that the most unlikely people God uses, you know, and that is similar to me today because, you would have never ever believed that somebody like me would be helping to build the body of Christ up. But you'll hear today what happened in my life. I'm going to give you a short bit of testimony on the main parts of my life. But there's a lots to this story. But I'm just going to get the main points across today. It really is a powerful story because God can do anything for us. He can change anybody and he can do anything, and He is God. So but it's nothing I've done. It's all what He's done. I ain't come here today to tell you how good a boxer I am because I ain't. I've come here today to tell you about what God's done in my life, and that's the only reason why I'm here. So I'm going to start off from the beginning. When I was a young lad growing up with my dad took me to a boxing gym when I was a young lad. My dad was a boxer, my uncle was a boxer, and my brother was a boxer. So, I'm going to be a boxer, ain't I? My dad took me to the gym when I was a young lad, and I got the feel for it, and I was just watching, hanging around the gyms, watching while my dad was boxing and my uncle and that, I was to go to shows when there was fighting and stuff like that. And my dad was the sort of guy, I wish I'd have bought him today, to be honest, but he's the only person I've ever looked up to. Forget all the world champions and that. I was never in order nobody, but I was just in order of my dad. I always wanted to be like my dad, and he was a good guy. Well, he still is a good guy, but he was the only one I ever looked up to. Forget all the world champions and stuff like that. I only wanted to be like my dad. And he took me to work with him. We had a scrap business. We had horses. My dad started off, he was very poor family, and he started off with an horse and cart, tatting, any old iron and stuff like that. And then he built himself up where he had like 20 horse and carts, and he was letting them out. Then he started with lorries and stuff like that. Then we got into the scrap business. We got scrap trade, scrap yards, and then we started on the demolition business. So we built a good family business up. But back to the boxing, I started going to the gym with my dad. And I got the taste for it, and they just hanging around the boxing gyms and just listening and learning and stuff like that. But that went on for a few years, and then up to the age of 11, when I was 11, you can't fight till you're 11 by Amateur Boxing Association rules in England. You can't box till you're 11 years of age. So by that time, banging around the gyms and all the stuff like that, and my uncle was a professional boxer, and I'm watching and learning, and time comes around for my first fight when I'm 11 years of age, and I won that comfortably. That was great. I boxed a kid. I can still remember the lad's name. He was named Paul Flute from Stafford Town, and he'd had 5 and won 4. But because I was been around the gym a long time, and I was prepared, and I beat him easy enough on a unanimous decision. And then my second fight was just like a couple of weeks after. I boxed in Stoke-on-Trent, and that was my first ever stoppage. And I punched the kid through the ropes, and I just carried on hitting him till the ref pulled me off him, because I could smell blood, and that always carried me through my career. I was always taught it and be it. You don't take no prisoners. Pain is better than points, and I always lived by that in my boxing. And sometimes I'd take one to land one. I was that sort of a guy. I was always. I was very, very, very tough. I was never put down. I was never knocked out or anything like that. I was, and that carried me all the way through. And so once I'd got these couple of fights out of the way, I was on the way then to, wanting more and more and more. So from the age, I'm going to fast forward a little bit now, but from the age of 11 till I was 30, I never had a year off. I never had a season off. I never had a season off, and I boxed every year. So as I was going through the schools, I was going from like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I was boxing amateur, and I was winning everything. I was winning the schoolboy titles, the junior titles. I think I remember once I was in the schoolboy championships, and I had 4 first-round knockouts straight after each other, because I was always told pain is better than points. And I used to put it on them in the first round when they don't expect it. I used to run out and just put it on them. And sometimes I wouldn't even look at them in the middle of the ring. I'd just let them think that I was all gonna do nothing. Let them think that I was weak. But I used to walk out and I used to unload everything on them. Because like boxing's it's a mind game as well. It ain't just strong, But and that's the I'd got a reputation then of being a strong fighter, good fighter. My school life suffered. I never wanted to go to school. I was at work with my dad. My dad had got horses, like I said. We'd done trotting horses, and we have trotting horses. We'd done trotting racing, harness racing, and stuff like that. So when I was a kid, my dad bought me an horse, and when other kids was out on their bikes, I was out on my horse. I was always a bit different to other kids, to be honest. And I never wanted to go to school. I couldn't stand school, to be honest. I hated it. I always wanted to just go to work, and I used to get paid. I used to get paid for working, and so on. And I could never sit in classes and listen and stuff like that. And I was always very naughty at school, and in the end, I got expelled, which I regret later on in life. I never took no exams, no nothing. They expelled me, and I just went straight to work with my dad. And when all the kids was on youth training schemes, I was on like nearly £100 a week. I was driving lorries, and I was, I thought I was great, to be honest. But, I really wished I would have listened and learned and had a better education. But all I wanted to do, lads, is just box. I just wanted to box. My ambition was to just box. And like I said, I won everything as amateur, all the way through to the schoolboys, till I was like 17 years of age. And then I was like picked to box for England. To box for England is a great, it's a great achievement. It's to have the national anthem played, and to be the best middleweight in the country, to be representing your country, and that's what I was. And I was like, I was only a young senior boxer, and then from the age of 17 to 18, I was just like boxing for England. I boxed abroad. Boxing, I think one of my best victories I ever had is when I went to Germany. I went to Germany against the German captain, and the England coach said to me, he said, Andy, he says, don't throw all your aces in the first round. He said, this guy's a good fighter. He said, just feel him out. He said, box the first round. He said, see where you are with him. And I thought, why are you doing that? I mean, so I went to the middle of the ring. I went to the middle of the ring with him, and I boxed this kid named Thomas Borchardt, his name was, and it was in Wessel in Germany. And there was some good lads on the team. Robin Reed was on the team, Gary Delaney. There's some good fighters who went on to be good professional fighters. And I went to the middle of the ring with him, like I said earlier on, and I just looked down because I didn't want him to see the strength in my eyes, because I knew, like, I didn't want him to see the strength in me. And as soon as the bell went, I just came out and I just unloaded everything I'd got on him. And he just dropped in a heap on his own corner, and I'd stopped him and knocked him out in the first round. And that was my best ever victory. That was like, I thought the water feeling on it like never. And we beat the Germans, and it was a brilliant victory. I would say that's my best ever victory, to be honest, because I'd drink then, I was just dedicated. I was at Crystal Palace most weekends training with the England team, and I was destined for big things. They said I was, the next this, the next that, the next this, and stuff like that. And I was and stuff. And I went to Bulgaria and I boxed for England again. And I had to box on the Wednesday, and then I had to box on the Thursday as well. So I had to box 2 days, straight after each other. But I boxed the Bulgarian champion. I knocked him out in the second round, because I could punch, and I was tough and stuff, and and then I had to fight the reigning world champion from Cuba the next day, and he'd had a boy, so he was fresh. But he beat me on points. It was a close fight, but I'd say he just about did steal it, like, because he was tall and rangy, and you see Chris Eubank jump over the top rope. Well, this guy done it in 1988. Before anybody had ever seen it. This guy jumped over the top rope, and I thought, oh man, here you go. I was only 18. It was on the 5th of December, 1988. I was 18. And this guy flipped over the top rope. I thought, because it's a bit intimidating, when you're a bit young and that. But I had a good fight with him, and he beat me on a 3-2 decision. And he was like, the best amateur in the world. And then I boxed for England again another few times. And then I thought, well, I had a few senior contests and a few things. And, to be the best middleweight in the country, then I thought, well, there ain't really much else for me to do now. I always wanted to earn a few quid. I was picked for the Barcelona Olympics. But I were bothered. Like, I thought, I regret that today. I regret that today. I wish I would have gone to the Olympics, but I'd been boxing for England, and I'd like 100 amateur fights. I'd won mostly everything and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I might as well get professional. I want to make my mark as a professional. I want to have a go at professional. But you know what, lads? Ever since I started boxing for England and celebrating my victories, I started celebrating my victories because I was old enough to drink, and then I started drinking just socially, just celebrating my victories. But you know what? That first few drinks, stayed with me all the time, all the way through my career. From when I had them first few drinks, I wanted to drink all the time. It done something for me that. I was like hooked straight away. I was like, hooked straight away. I always wanted to drink then. So as my boxing career was taking off, my drinking career was taking off as well, and it followed me all the way through my career, to be honest. I turned professional, and had a good start. I had a good I boxed one of Brendan Ingles. Anybody know Brendan Ingle? They've boxing from Sheffield. He's a good trainer, I had my first few professional fights was a good baptism. Like, it was knowledgeable, learning to have to fight 6 rounds, going up from 3 to amateur, going into 6, and I was fine. I got through the first 3 or 4, no problem at all. And then I had my first loss, I think it was, and I lost to a guy who wasn't as good as me. But I lost because my eye cut. Now, anybody knows, cut eyes in boxing, though. Sometimes you get a cut eye and you've lost the fight. You know what I mean? Because because you're always bleeding. I mean, what they should do is, if like my fight got stopped in 60 seconds, so it should have been declared a no contest after three. If they go after 3 rounds, then the points should be added up. But like obviously that's a loss on your record, and you've got to rebuild and start again. And I had to do that a few times. But you know what? You think what you think about this. All the time I was boxing amateur, I never cut once. But once I turned going senior and professional, and I'm drinking all the time in between fights, and then my eyes started cutting. Now I've been told that it's because of the alcohol that why I was cutting. I don't know if it's definitely true or not, but like I said, I never cut as amateur when I never drank. But as soon as I'm starting drinking, my eyes start cutting, and I had some losses through cut eyes. But within 3 years of being a professional fighter, I'd made my mark, and I boxed for the British Middleweight Championship, which was live on BBC One, watched by millions. I mean, TV now, it's all Sky 8 and pay-per-view 8 and all these things, you know what I mean? But to box on BBC One is the best out of the lot, because it's like everybody watches you. Everybody sees you on BBC One. And that was like really a good turning point for me, because everywhere I went, I was like famous, because I boxed for the British middleweight title, like Alan Minter and Tony Simpson, and some really good fighters had boxed for this title. I was interviewed by Harry Carpenter. We was always interviewing Frank Bruno, because Frank Bruno was always on BBC One, and and it was just like like I'd gone from boxing through the small hall shows, boxing through the 8-3s, and then I was boxed to box for a 12-rounder. Even having setbacks with cut eyes, having to start again and rebuild again. And, so, you can see, like, within 3 years, I'd made, even though I'd had setbacks, I'd made, like, a good, I'd done good progress to box for the British middleweight title within 3 years of being a professional, after having a few losses by cut eyes as well. So, like, to be up there, and the guy I had to fight, he was, like, sixth in the world anyway. He only got beat by Steve Collins in his career, you know what I mean? So, you can see, like, within 3 years, then I'm up there. I'm right up there already. And I'm, like, 21 years old, 22 years of age. And, like, so, I thought I'd actually made it before I'd made it, to be honest. And I was boxing for Mickey Duff. Anybody heard of Mickey Duff? Yeah, he was, he was a good guy, to be honest, to be with in the boxing, because he was like Mr. Boxing at the time. And I boxed on a few shows with Frank Bruno. Bruno fought at the NEC in Birmingham, and that was good. I boxed the Welsh champion, Steve Thomas, and knocked him out in the first minute, 60, I think it was 62 seconds it was. And that was another good victory as well. But I had some fantastic victories. And then I was asked to go and spar with Nigel Benn. But while all this was going on as well, I was working. I was working for my dad. I'd got horses and stuff like that. But I was getting, what can I call it? The things of the world were starting to get to me. I was starting to get distracted. My career was suffering a little bit because I was going out, drinking, girls and stuff like that, and just not putting so much time in and stuff like that, but it's distracting when you're a young lad. You don't want to be training all the while, training this, training that, and I like the drink, and honest to God, I used to think I can do both, and obviously, you can't. But I used to think I'm that tough. I used to think I was invincible because I was tough, strong, and I used to think I could do both. And obviously, you can't. But I went to spar with Nigel Benn, and he was boxing for the world title in Italy. And I was only a young professional then. I'd only been professional, like I said, for 3 years. And it was good. I met Jimmy Tibbs. Anybody heard of Jimmy Tibbs? Yeah, Jimmy Tibbs, famous boxing trainer. But he was also a really good boxer, and he's a born-again Christian now. He done 13 years in jail because he got done for murder, and he was a bit of a gangster. He was mixed up with the craze and all that stuff. But when I first met Jimmy, and he introduced me to Nigel Benn, and I jumped, like I jumped on the training camp, and he said to me, you know what he said to me? He was born again, and he said, Andy, he said, God's going to use you one day. And I looked at him, I just laughed at him. I was like 21, 22 years of age, and I thought, you are? He said, Andy, he said, God's going to use you one day. He said, God's got a purpose for you. And I just looked at him and laughed at him. I said, you got no chance. And he said, will you come to a church with me tonight? And I says, you know, just out of kindness, courtesy. I says, yeah, you know. And he took me to a Pentecostal church. And I sat there and I, you know, listened and stuff like that. And I never thought nothing of it. Went back to the training camp, sparring Nigel Benn. Obviously that was ferocious. He tries to knock you out because he's Nigel Benn, and you know when everybody's in the gym, the press I'm there, all the TV I'm there, you know and you know the dog are light. And like I was saying to the one of the lads here earlier on today, I was thinking, I said, it's being a sparring partner for these world champions like I did is actually worse than fighting them, because you got to do it every day. You know, you take like just a one-off, you got to do it 5 days a week, 6 rounds a day, and that is hard. Even though you got big 16-ounce gloves on, you're fighting 8-ounce gloves. But you want to, you know, but some of the sparring partners I used to go, they used to wear 14-ounce gloves anyway. You know what I mean? So, you know, I used to have an head guard with a bar on, like the raised head guard, the Mexican one, which was good. But they don't stop. They don't, you know, when they, you know, they don't. Their punches come sharp, let me tell you. But I carried on anyway, and I've done that, no problem at all. Like I said, young professional, sparring Nigel Benn, held me on. He's, you know, he won the world title. They had me in the camp because he was boxing a tall guy, so, and I was like his style. But I had no problem with Nigel Benn at all. He was, you know, you know, I could hold my own. I can truthfully say, everybody I've been in the ring with, I could always hold my own. You know, I never got turned over by anybody, and I've been in with everybody. You know, my record, who I've fought and sparred with, is there ain't many like it in Great Britain, to be honest, because I've absolutely been in the ring with everybody. You know, I've been in the ring with about 12 world champions, and like probably about 20 contenders, you know, in all different weights, from middleweight up to, you know, cruiserweight. You know, and I never had a problem with absolutely anybody at all. But then I was asked to go and spar with Chris Eubank. I mean, you know, Chris was a good guy, to be honest. I got on well with him. And that was fun, man, that was fun. I went there I went to Brighton on my own, first of all. There was only me there, because sometimes there's 2 or 3 different sparring partners. Take it in turns, and get it in and out, you know. But Chris was a fair guy, man. He let you come down the day before to settle in, because some camps, they just make you get there, and you know, you get out your car or whatever, and you got to go and get in the ring and spar. But Chris let you come down before, put me in a top hotel in Brighton. The money was really, really good. But the first time I sparred with him, you know, oh man, it was intimidating, I tell you. You know what I mean? He was proper intimidating. And Ronnie Davis, his trainer, come and met me. And but by this time, I'd got a bit of a drink problem. I was about 25 then, I think. Yeah, I've got a bit of a drink problem. I was drinking most of the time then. I was just a social drinker, drinking weekends. And binge drinking, to be honest, that was then. I was, you know, and I was going to nightclubs and stuff like that. I was getting a few fights and stuff, and you know, I was never a nice drunk either. I was never a, you know, I was always a bit, being a boxer and, you know, being young and being a bit cocky and stuff, and you know, being on TV and being in the press all the while and stuff like that, you know. And you sometimes used to, you know, attract trouble and that as well, like, you know, being in them situations. There's always people who've got drink in them and stuff like that, and they want to try and cause trouble and stuff like that. And trouble seemed to follow me a few times, you know. I got locked up a few times and stuff like that, you know. And I remember coming out one nightclub and having this one fight, and I got stabbed. I got stabbed 3 times in the back. You know what I mean? I was fighting. It was really, really, and it was a life and death situation. I got smashed over the head with a bottle of bud, and it was really, really, really intense. Just missed me lung. I nearly had a punctured lung, but you know, that was another life-changing thing for me. Like, but you know, I had that many close shaves with different things. But back to sparring Chris, and Chris was he was, like I said, he was a fair guy, and I sparred with him for the first week. I went down there and done it really well, and then he was that impressed with me. He was that impressed that he employed me all the time for being his main sparring partner on his world tour. Lads, I must have done over 200 rounds with Chris Eubank. I mean, how I did that? I mean, honestly, how I did that, nobody will ever know, because let me tell you, boxers was coming into the training camp, other fighters, champion fighters, I'm going to mention no names, and they got battered and they got sent home, you know what I mean, because Chris put it on them every day. Chris used to put it on you, and he had a thing about putting his sparring partners down, because if you can't take the heat, you get somebody else in who can, and that's what he did, and he was like that, and all the press was in the gym watching, and he flew this trainer in from Mexico or something like that, and he was brutal, honestly, he was brutal. But me being tough, and I could just take it, and I just did it really well and get him as much back. And I've just showed one day when he thanked me live on Sky TV, you know what I mean? Because, I did the job that well. But you know what, lads, I drank every single night. I used to walk around Brighton and just drink. And then I'd get up the next day, go for a little run. And Chris always used to spar at 3 o'clock. And by that time, 3 o'clock had come round, because I was young and strong. I was fine for the sparring, and I did it, and I did it well, even though I was hungover sometimes. I did it. And like I said, lots of sparring partners. I think about half a dozen sparring partners come and got battered and got sent home. But like I said, Chris thanked me, and he told Barry Hearn, Eddie Hearn's dad, Barry Hearn, that Andy Flute is the best sparring partner I've ever had. He said, why don't you sign him up and get him on the matchroom camp? And that's what he did. So Barry Hearn come down to Brighton to watch me spar with Chris Eubank. And this is mad, man. He says, because like the first day, Barry Hearn's in the gym, and he comes over to him, Andy, come to watch you spar. And gets in the ring, gets gloved up, gets in the ring. And Chris, then being Chris, he just stands there like that. You know what I mean? The bell's gone, and he just stands there like that. So I just stood there like that. Do you know what I mean? Because he's expecting me to try and show off, or to try and impress Barry Hearn. Do you know what I mean? So he was like, but I fall for it, because he was like trying to draw me in. So I just stood there like that, and he just stood there, so would I throw a punch for the round? You know what I mean? So it's the truth, honest, but like, that's Chris. That's what you have to. Once you've been around him enough times, you get to know him, like. And but the next round, obviously, he comes out then and tries to put it on me, like so. But what I used to do when I was sparring, this is the truth. I ain't just saying this. I just used to do enough. I see lots of openings and lots of things, and lots of where you could have had him a few more times, but you don't want to make it harder for yourself. You know what I mean? You just do enough. And Barry Hearn was that impressed with me. He offered me a contract. He said, he says, man, that's brilliant. He says, I'll make you a world champion. He said, I'll make you a multi-millionaire. He says, you can take Chris Eubank's place at the top of the tree. And I believed him, and he did, and he would have done what he said, because he was that sort of a guy, and he had the influence. And but you know what? It did happen, because me drinking, me partying, and all the stuff like that was starting to catch up with me. And I thought my head went too big, and I thought I'd made it before I'd actually made it. And you know what, lads? My first fight, this is embarrassing. The first fight I had for Barry Hearn, I lost it. I lost it because of the way I was, and the drinking and the stuff and everything else had caught up with me, and I lost it on an home show, on a Sky show as well. And I was that embarrassed. I was like, I was that fed up. I thought, why did I do it? Why this? Why that? And that was a bitter pill to swallow. That was embarrassing, but I carried on. And it didn't really materialise with Barry Hearn. My drinking was getting worse. My drinking was getting, I was out most weekends, and I started taking drugs. I started selling drugs. I was doing all the rave scene, selling drugs all around the raves and stuff like that, down the Fantasia, around the Bristol area and stuff like that. And I was doing lots of criminal stuff, you could say. You know, I don't really want to go into it. There's a lot of it in the book. Lots and lots of criminal activities, and everything I did was wrong. But I mean, I really regret these things today, and I know God's forgiven me because that's what I'm here today. But that's another story. But my boxing was really, really, really suffering, And then I was asked to go and spar with Joe Calzaghe, which Joe Calzaghe is really good. We boxed together a few times on as amateurs. And when they used to ring me up to say, "Do you want to go and spar with this?" I never, all the fighters would say, "Oh, I don't know, them a bit good," or I used to go, "How much?" "Yeah, I'll do it." I never turned no job down, nothing. I never turned a thing down. And whenever anybody asked me for a fight, or you got a fight, I never used to say, "Oh, I don't know." Or all I used to say was, "How much?" "Yeah, I'll do it." If I was fit, I'd get fit on the sparring job. I never turned no job down, no nothing. I never turned nothing down. And I went to Wales, sparred with Joe Calzaghe. That was another experience as well. Joe was really, really good. He's wrote for me in my book. He's wished me all the best on my new journey. And I'm still in touch with him today. He's one of the best guys you could ever meet. We got on really well. His dad made me welcome. He made me stay in Wales as good as he could be. And, and that's, to be sharing a ring with these three guys, who are the best Britain has produced, and I wore battered or knocked about or anything. I could hold my own, and half the time I was, I wasn't as fit as what I should be, and I could still hold my own, you know what I mean? And my drinking then was just getting slowly worse and worse and worse, and I started to, I started to have a problem then with cocaine and stuff like that. But me, I've got, I've always got to do things to the extreme, to be honest. And I got married. I had two daughters, and then I had another daughter as well. And I got married to my childhood sweetheart. I was with June, my ex-wife now, from the age of 12, and I ruined it. I ruined the marriage. She was fine. She was a good wife, a good homemaker, everything. But I'd become dysfunctional, and I was surely slipping into alcoholism, and I was becoming an alcoholic. And I was still boxing as well. I still had some good fights. I knocked Errol McDonald out. He was European title challenger. I fought Glenn Catley. Anybody heard of Glenn Catley? I fought Glenn Catley. I fought him at a week's notice, but for a 12-round fight. But I still thought I could beat him, and I would have bet him if I'd have had notice. No danger about it, and I was still fighting. And I fought David Storey, and I only took that fight just to pay for things. I wore bothered, to be honest. By this time now, my desire to win wasn't what it should be. And by this time now, I was, you could see the pattern. I was like binge drinking, in with the wrong crowd, all sorts of criminal activities, stolen JCBs, stolen lorries, sitting on motorway services, waiting for lorries and stuff like that. And, stealing lorries with arms on and stuff like that, and just robbing factories, and the list goes on. And then I was doing door work, and then I was asked to collect debts and stuff like that. I remember collecting debts for 150 grand and 70 grand and stuff like that. And they always paid up now because what we used to do to them. I'm not not bragging or anything like that, because it's just the wrong way to live. But I'm trying to give you a picture of what I was like. I hate that, to be honest. But when I was married, and I was just sleeping with different girls and different things, and I was just living in adultery, and just everything was just totally wrong in my life. Everything. And but I carried on. And I kept, I got a drink problem, and I kept thinking, I'll be all right. I'll try and get through it and stuff like that. I'll try and change and everything else. But before I knew it, I was like, with alcoholism it's a killer illness, and it creeps upon you slowly. Nobody's born an alcoholic. Alcoholism comes on through keeping on drinking, and it's when your body's had a psychological change, and your brain has changed as well. The chemicals in your brain have just changed altogether. And then when you put the alcohol into your body, it sets a chemical off called acetone. And then for the alcoholic, your body can't stop. And I was the sort of alcoholic that once I'd crossed over into alcoholism, one drink in me was like tipping petrol on a fire because I could not stop. I could not stop. The only way I used to stop was when my body stopped me, when I used to physically couldn't drink another drink. So by this time then, I'd gone from being a social drinker out in clubs and pubs and stuff like that. Then I was just gone to being a drinker, just stuck in a room. And by this time as well, I'd also got a crack habit. I'd been in crack dens and stuff like that with all sorts of people, you know. And I'd got a lot of money as well, but I was wasting it. I was doing $1,000 a day on crack. Man, it was just absolutely horrendous. My dad don't know what to do with me. The one day he come to my house and he locked me in the house. And he said, "You ain't going out this house no more. You need to pull yourself together." And I just couldn't stop. As soon as his back was turned, I just run up to the bedroom window. I got no shoes and socks on. I just jumped out the bedroom window because I just wanted to get out that much, you know. And I just carried on again. Then once I'd got that drink in me, you don't know what was going to happen. You know, you don't know what was going to happen. I remember getting run over. I remember getting all sorts of accidents happened to me. You know what I mean? I had that many accidents, near-death experiences. It was just absolutely horrendous for them what knew me, and they never knew what was going to happen to me. I remember once being in my room, and I was drinking, and I couldn't go out to get a drink, to be honest, because I'd felt that ill. I'd gone that ill. And you know what I did? I sicked into a pint glass and drank the sick because it was nearly pure alcohol. You know, that's how bad I was. I'm trying to give it a description of how bad an alcoholic I was, because then the only way I used to stop was when I couldn't stop again, and then stop me like I couldn't take no more. Then I just used to lie on a bed, just curl up in a ball and just think, I want to die. I want to die. How shall I kill myself? How shall I do it? Shall I jump off a bridge? Shall I take an overdose? Shall I jump in front of a train? Shall I just, and think of all these things, thinking. And I used to take like a bit of pleasure out of that, knowing that there was a way out, knowing that there was a way out. And my mum's not here now, but I was really worried and that, and they tried everything to help me. And they said, get to Alcoholics Anonymous. My sister Beverly, who's my older sister, she took me to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and I went to the meeting, and I don't really think it was for me. They was all nice, the people was, and that all used to that, like people being nice to you and that, because I wore from that sort of a world, like I was always, from an aggressive sort of a world, like sort of thing. And, people, they were trying to swap phone numbers and stuff like that, and I thought, I don't really want to do this. I thought, and they talked about a higher power, and I thought, higher power, what's that about? That's a load of rubbish. Do you know what I mean? I thought, that's not for me. So, I managed to get some sobriety myself. I'd do a few weeks, or then I'd do a few months or whatever, go in and out of AA, and then just fall off the wagon again. And then I'd fall off the wagon, and then I'd have a binge, and then I'd be taking 5 grams of cocaine a day, loads of crack, all and loads of drink. I remember sniffing a gram of cocaine one day, all in one go, and then sniffing a bottle top of tequila straight after. You know what I mean? I was absolutely gone. I was away with the fairies, I tell you. My head was gone. And lots of violence happened and all, like I said. I got stabbed at one time, but that ain't nothing to what, I had that mmany fights and that many, got locked up all the time. I had that many, I remember getting locked up 3 weekends on the trot. I got locked up, and I was locked up in the police stations on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and in court Monday, and that happened 3 times on the trot, and that used to piss me off, man, because you're suffering all weekend, and then you got in court Monday morning, and then prison followed. Then I racked up 3 prison sentences, and I'd gone from a local hero, boxing on Sky TV, boxing on BBC One, boxing on the back page of the paper, back page of the paper to the front page of the paper. I'd gone from a local hero to a local drunk who was always in trouble. Do you know what I mean? And this was like really heart-wrenching for me, man. You know what I mean? So I still get a bit tearful because the pain brings you back. But I thought the only way out of this is I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. And I did. I decided to do it, and I did try. And I took the coward's way out. I wasn't brave enough to throw myself off a building or anything like that. I just took a load of tablets to kill me. And I took enough tablets to kill an elephant, to be honest. It wasn't a cry for help. It wasn't. I'd had enough. You know, I couldn't take it, man. And I just thought the only way out of this is just die. And you know, because I don't think there was any way out. And I just took enough tablets, like I said, to kill an elephant, and I was just found. And they took me to the hospital. I don't know none of this, like this is another time. And they took me to the hospital and they pumped a solution into me, what saved my life. And, you know, I was that far gone in my head that as soon as I'd come round in the hospital, the crisis team come and see me. And they said to me, pointing the finger, they says, you need to pull yourself together. There's worse people in this hospital with worse problems than you. You know, I just thought, man, I can't put up with that. And I just got my stuff and I just walked out of the hospital. And what did I do? Just walk straight to the shop and get me a drink. You know what I mean? After just trying to kill yourself. That's how far gone I'd got, how deluded I'd gone. You know what I mean? And I just started it off all over again. So there I was again, just come out of hospital, you know, trying to kill yourself. Then I'm back drinking again, you know what I mean? And I somehow managed to pull myself together. The only way I'd stop would just, you know, I'd stop myself, and I managed to get some sobriety. And I you know, my sister says, get back in AA, get to AA. And you know, I don't know what else to do, to be honest. So I did go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I did. And I've got to tell you today, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is a brilliant fellowship. It probably saved my life, to be honest. Because they said to me, you need to find a higher power. And I went to AA for years and years and years. But you know what? I never did the program right. The 12-step program, I never did it right because I always kept thinking I'll do it my way. I'll do it. That's what, you know, when I'm an alcoholic, it just, you know, you don't really want to admit you're an alcoholic. You don't really want to admit that you've got a problem. You know what I mean? But, you know, the sooner somebody faces up to it and the sooner you admit it and the sooner, and I managed to get myself a good sponsor because, like, you know, they say I have a good sponsor and, you know, somebody who's walked the walk. So I waited until I picked this guy who, you know, he'd been sober 18 years, and I thought he's got a good share, he's got a good story, and so I used you know, my head a little bit, and I thought I'll ask Paul if he'll be my sponsor, and I asked Paul, and you know, he says yeah, I'll help you, and obviously I still kept failing, that's what it's like with alcoholism. It's like in sobriety, out sobriety. And they said find a higher power. So, you know, I thought, well, I'm going to have to try and do something because I don't like the way I am. And, you know, I'd had everything and lost everything as well. You know, and like I said, I'd lost my marriage. I'd had that many near-death experiences. I remember falling over once and smashing my head off the toilet and just knocked myself clean out. And if you know, nobody had to find me. Like the blood was just giving out like that. I was just lying there, just totally out. That was another time. You know, there's that many near-death experiences. You know, a lot of it's in the book, but there's a lot of things in that book as well I couldn't put in as well. It was too bad to write about. And a lot of things in that, you know, what I couldn't speak to today because I'm too ashamed to. But I'm just telling you today, like, give you some insight of what I was like, you know. And, you know, it's just a miracle that I'm here today to share with you. And I carried on with Alcoholics Anonymous, and I got this sponsor, and they said find a higher power, and I thought, you know. And what happened was, when I was about 42, I done an exhibition fight with Nigel Benn, I did, honest. And Nigel Benn was about 2 years older than me. And but you know, all the training for that fight with Nigel Benn, I was just drinking and sniffing the whole time. And I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did the fight with Nigel Benn. I did it, but I drank. I think I drank every day, but 2 days all the way up to it. Somebody had been spreading rumours, got to Nigel Benn's attention, that somebody had said that I was going to try and knock him out. But I hadn't said that because I got too much respect for Nigel Benn. So when we went to the middle of the ring, don't forget, I'm like still a bit jumpy because I've been drinking and taking coke and everything else all the way up to it. He said to me, he looked at me in the eyes like that, and he went, "I've heard everything you've said about me." Boom. I thought, oh no, here we go now. I thought, oh no, here we go. So I thought, oh, here we go. So as he comes out the first round, he just unloads everything he's got. He gives me everything. It's a good job I got plenty of experience, and I just like covered up and just took everything. But he ends up on the floor himself, so he'll have to read it in the book. But I got through that anyway. I got through that, and then a guy who was there on the night said to me, "Come to my church." So I did, and because he said he knew I was struggling with alcoholism, he knew that wore me in the ring. He knew I was got a drink problem. He knew I was alcoholic. He'd seen me all on the newspapers, at the front page of the papers, and he knew I was having trouble and stuff like that. And he said, "Andy," he said, "Come to my church." And I went to this church, and I met a guy named John Crampton, and you know, John was a really nice guy, and they all knew me, like, you know, being quite famous and that, you know, being on TV and being on papers and stuff like that, and they made me welcome and stuff like that, and you know, and I think nothing of it, and I went again for another few times, and you know, it stuck in my mind, like, you know, it stuck in my mind that, you know, there is a God, and you know, there is, you know, Jesus and stuff like that, and but you know, they stopped me drinking, and I had another few benders, another few things happened. Like I said, in 2011 I went to prison. In 2012 I went to prison. I mean, when I first went to prison, I just, you know, the first time I went, I thought it was a joke. I was taking like Subutex and stuff like that, and you know, that's the heroin substitute. I had some heroin while I was in jail as well, but the one thing that I have, they offered me some drink, and I take it because I knew that was one reason why I was in jail, because of the drink. You know what I mean? But they put me in a cell with another guy, and I said to the screw, I said, "If you don't move me out my cell," I said, "I'll beat my pad mate up." I said, "If you don't give me a cell on my own," I said, I'll beat him up. And they just put me in the cell on my own. And then I went in 2012 again, a day late, and then when I went again in 2013, and then when I come out in 2013, I thought, you know, I was up there 1 minute, and then I was down there like that. I smashed my car up, lost my driving licence, got out, run off. So I got an HGV licence, because you know, I lost that. They took that off me. My boxing trainer's licence, they took that off me. My door badge licence, they took that off me. I lost everything. I lost absolutely everything. All my wealth as well was gone because I'd wasted it all on crack and everything else. And I just, you know, I was just in despair. I just don't know what to do. You know, I was in such a mess. But I'd been to this church. The only good thing I can say about me is what I'm here today is that I kept trying. I did keep trying. You know, obviously I threw in the towel that one day and I tried to kill myself. But, you know, and that's the reason I'm here today. But, you know, I did keep trying after. I did keep trying. And I went back to the church a few times. But it still wasn't enough. You know, when I was on the AA program, I'd done the 12 steps. I got up to, I got to, the first time I'd done the steps, I got to step 5. And then I drank again. And then I had to do another 3 months sober to get back on the steps. But then when I did them again the next time, I did them right. And, let me just get back to my last drink now. My last drink was on the 28th of October 2015. I went to a sportsman's evening to meet Carl Froch. You know, and it was, you know, me being a, you know, world-class fighter, being a guest. You know what? I made a show of myself. somebody pushed the drink. I'd been off the drink for a bit. You know, I was in and out of sobriety. But every time I had a drink, it was like a breakdown. It was like just having a drink and you get up with a sore head. The drink used to last either 2 weeks, a month, or longer. You know what I mean? And then I'd just, you know, I had to rebuild all over again. And I'd got some sobriety and I went to this sportsman's dinner. This is my last drink, you know, because time's getting on. And somebody pushed the drink my way and I took the drink. And man, I made a fool of myself in front of my fellow professionals and stuff. And then, you know, the girl I was with had to get me out. I had to get me out of there. It got me out of there and got me back home. And then I started on a binge, a bender, just drinking, you know. And this bender really lasted for 2 weeks. And I was in such a mess. I was at death's door, to be honest. I was at death's door. And Angela, I've got a new girlfriend now. Like I said, I'd ruined the other one. And that cost me dearly. It stripped me of everything. It took me to the cleaners with everything as well, with money-wise, everything-wise, and stopped me seeing my children, which was, you know, I love my children more than anything. And to stop anybody knows, if you get stopped seeing your children, it's, you know, it's enough to throw you over the edge, like. But my ex-wife, because of the way I'd treated her and everything else, she like twisted the knife on me. She took me to the cleaners. She stopped me seeing the kids. She'd done, and you know, it made everything worse for me because I really believe that she wanted me to drink myself to death, so she'd get everything. You know what I mean? Which was, you know, part why she wouldn't let me see the kids and stuff like that. The one I need for that. I'd always been a good dad, to be honest. You know, I'd never done anything in front of them, and I always loved my children. But my ex had turned everything against me as well, and was trying to just do her worst. But I met another girl, and I was in her house, and I was just drinking after this sportsman's dinner. And I've been drinking nearly 2 weeks. And she didn't know what to do. She thought I was going to die. She could see that I was nearly dead. And she knew. It's weird, eh? She knew I'd been going to church. And she knew I'd made friends with a couple of people from the church. And she rang the pastor and John Crampton to come and pray for me. And I was in this room, just stuck in a room, just half dead through drink and everything. You know, I was just a total, you know, I was pissing myself. I was just total mess, just nearly half dead. And she rang these guys from the church to come and pray for me. And they come and prayed for me, and they left. And then, you know, they prayed for me and they left. And then when they left, I just dropped on my knees and I said, God, if you're real, I said, if you are real, I said, then you save me. I said, I will follow you for the rest of my life. I said, I promise you, if you take my addiction away, I will follow you forever. And you know what? I never had another drink again. You know what I mean? I never ever wanted a drink. And I never had another drink. You know what I mean? It's the truth, honestly. It's the truth. I had like a funny feeling where I felt like a spiritual awakening. I don't know what it was, but I felt like the presence of God had touched me. And I don't know what it was at the time. I was still in such a mess, but you know, I never had the desire for a drink again. I never, till this day, I mean, I've never wanted a drink or a drug or anything else ever since. And then I got back on the steps with my sponsor. And then I got on these 12 steps. And then I had to write an inventory. I had to have all the people that I'd harmed and I'd hurt. You know, the step one of the Alcoholics Anonymous thing is to admit that your life is unmanageable, to admit that you're powerless. So I admitted that. And then I steps 4 and 5 and that, I had to write an inventory. And step 8 is to be willing to make amends. You know, but on steps 4 and 5, where I write my inventory, I did it honestly. And then I felt the presence of God go through my body again. And it was like, wow. You know, because I was sober and I was like, wow, what was that? And my sponsor said, God's just touched you, ain't he? I said, how do you know? He said, I've seen it. He said, I've seen it. You know, and I went, he said, Andy, he said, God's just forgiven you for everything you've done. He said, He's set you free. He said, He's just forgiven you. And I was like, wow. And then step 12, he's like, having had a spiritual awakening because of doing these steps, you know. And I was like, I can't believe that. Then the following month, 15th of November, I got baptised. And that's when I become a new creation. 2 Corinthians 5, 17, 18. I had it tattooed on my arm because my old life had gone. And I'd become a new creation. And I know Jesus lives in me because my old life's gone. I can't sin. I can't lie. I can't do anything. I can't do anything wrong. And that old self, what I was like, that criminal, that violent, that drinker, that horrible person of a man that I was, I'm just totally born again Christian here today, standing here by the grace of God. And lads, let me tell you, my book, I'll tell you about my book. My book come about, I never intended to write a book. My book come around by trying to give me therapy to write down some of the names of the famous world champions I've been in the ring with. My girlfriend bought me a journal. It took me about 6 years to write that book, and I wrote it with a pen and paper. I have no ghostwriter, nothing. So God helped me write that book. And I wrote it broken, crying, in an art of recovery to the best I could. And then she said, start writing some of the world champions you've been in the ring with. So I started just writing bits of paper down, and I got my scrapbook out, and you know, and that's how the book come about. And I wrote it with a pen and paper, honestly, with a pen and paper. And I got my cousin to put it on an email and put it into Microsoft Word. And I sent it to a few publishers, and every one of them offered me a deal, and they wanted it. And that's why I believe, you know, but I believe God helped me write that book, because I was never no good at school. I never passed no English or anything, you know. And I wrote that book with a pen and paper broken. And to be honest, there's no higher name than Jesus, is that? To be honest, though, you know. And he gave me a name, he let me put his book on the name, put his name on my book. So, you know, if anybody wants a book, The Sinner's Prayers in the back, if anybody knows anybody who's struggling, the book will help them. I mean, to go on Christian TV, I've been on TBN, I've been on Revelation TV, I've been seen, you know, in 170 countries around the world since I've become, you know, what God's done for me is like the worst thing that ever happened to me. He's made the best thing that's ever happened to me. Do you know what I mean? I boxed on TV, but it was like representing Jesus on TV. It was stacked better representing Jesus on TV. You know what I mean? It was giving me more fulfillment than anything I've ever done in my life. You know, but that's it, man. Thank you. Andy Flute. I could go on forever, but I've got that many stories, but that's you know, I'm set free today. I never ever do I think about a drink or anything else, you know, and I just want to pass on what God has done for me. You know what I mean? Pass on to everybody else. You probably haven't got to go to the depths that I've been to, you know, but if you don't know Jesus today, I recommend that you should. You know, I recommend you should, because it'll be the best by far thing that you've ever done. It's the best thing I've ever done. You know, and if anybody wants a prayer after, if anybody wants to ask me any questions, does anybody want to ask me any questions about boxing or
yeah, I know. I drove to Walsall to kind of catch up with him. We've been in contact for a few years, and I think we spent more time crying in Wetherspoons than actually talking. But the thing I thought was interesting that we mentioned in Wetherspoons, and he mentioned now, is the fact of infantry. You know, and he was talking about the steps on that journey. And you know, sometimes, no matter, you know, because you might be here today, and you might not feel that you've got an addiction, or you might not feel that there's something that's taken over. It might not be drink or drugs. It could be pride, envy, jealousy, anything like that. You know, that anything that's got a hold on us. And I really felt that on my journey just recently, I've been kind of putting infantry and writing things down and going to people and talking to people. And some of it's been from somebody I worked with, even my boss that I worked with I left there in 2009, and I'd worked there from leaving school. And there's even some things that he'd said to me that I had to go, you know what, I need to deal with that. And that's been my journey these past 12 months of writing things down, talking on things, going to people. And I tell you what, it's hard work. It's not easy. It's a lot of blood, sweat and tears. But I know in this book that he mentions various things like this as well, and he's got restoration of with his daughters and things on that journey as well. I know that as well, and other aspects of being able to people that had fallen out of his relationship years ago. And so the book is a very good book to read, and I would recommend it. Christmas is coming, and so don't buy one, buy two, buy three. There's plenty of birthdays, isn't there? Honestly, it's great to have you with us. Just to remember, if you can give a donation, please give donations to Basket. Please do grab a book. If you need to get a book and you can't afford it, let me know and we will cover that. Saturday the 27th of August, Bruce Dyer will be with us. Again, wonderful testimony. Again, a guy that was flying in football, scoring the goals, but drink and suicide and depression and various things had got to him as well on that journey. And again, God in some way miraculously came into his life for that as well.